History did not change overnight. It changed quietly, in the shine of a single coin. In 1965, silver did not vanish. It began to fade. In 1965, the United States was living through a subtle but profound shift. Vending machines, cash registers, and pockets across the country still rang with the sound of silver. But behind the scenes, rising metal prices were rewriting the rules of everyday money. The Kennedy half-dollar stood at the center of that change. Introduced only a year earlier as a tribute to President John F. Kennedy, the coin had already become more than currency. It was memory pressed into metal. It was grief, pride, and national identity carried hand to hand. But by 1965, economics forced a compromise. Pure silver coinage could no longer survive in circulation. Instead of 90% silver, the new half-dollar would contain 40% silver in a layered structure. To most people, nothing looked different. But the story inside the coin had changed forever. This was not the end of silver money. It was the beginning of its quiet departure. On the obverse, John F. Kennedy faces left, calm and composed. The design carries a sense of stillness, almost reflective. It does not feel like a portrait frozen in time. It feels like a moment of thought. The inscriptions surround him with familiar words. Liberty arches above. In God we trust rests below. The date, 1965, anchors the coin in a year of transformation. Look closely and the surface tells its own story. The fields are bright, smooth, and softly textured. The relief is clean. The edges are sharp. These qualities suggest a carefully produced coin, likely from a special mint set. These sets were created for collectors during years when traditional proof coins were not produced. They were not meant for circulation. They were meant to preserve detail, clarity, and intention. In a sense, this coin was created to be noticed. Turn the coin over and the American eagle spreads its wings across the reverse. The design is rich with symbolism. The shield protects the chest. One talon holds an olive branch. The other grips arrows. Peace and strength exist together, balanced and deliberate. Above the eagle, a ring of stars forms a quiet halo. Behind them, rays extend outward, suggesting unity and motion. The motto E pluribus unum stretches across a banner, reminding the viewer that many voices form one nation. On this 1965 example, the reverse shows crisp feather lines, strong shield definition, and a smooth satin surface. These features reflect careful striking pressure and controlled finishing. The coin does not shout. It presents itself with calm precision. Even as its metal composition was changing, its message remained steady. The 1965 Kennedy half-dollar occupies a unique place in American coinage. It is not fully silver, yet it still carries the weight of precious metal. Inside its layered construction lives a final echo of an earlier era. For collectors, this transition makes the coin meaningful. It represents a boundary line. On one side lies the long tradition of circulating silver currency. On the other stands the modern era of clad coinage. Holding the coin is like holding a hinge in history. One direction opens to the past. The other leads forward. Every coin records its life in marks and light. On this example, the surfaces show minimal wear. The details remain strong. The luster is even and satin-like rather than mirrored. These qualities suggest careful preservation from the moment of striking. The edges are clean. The high points retain definition. The fields reflect light softly rather than sharply. All of these signs point to a coin that has spent more time protected than spent. Condition does not only affect value. It preserves intention. It allows us to see the coin as its creators meant it to appear. Coins often begin as tools of commerce. Over time, some become artifacts of memory. The 1965 Kennedy half-dollar belongs to that second category. It marks a technical shift in minting practices. It marks an emotional moment in American history. And it marks the gradual transformation of everyday currency from precious metal to practical alloy. For the people who first encountered it, the change may have felt small. But history often moves in increments that only become visible in hindsight. This coin does not simply represent 50 cents. It represents a decision, a transition, and a turning point. Metal remembers what people forget. In 1965, the United States did not announce the end of silver coinage with ceremony. It simply changed the formula and continued forward. Yet within that quiet decision, an era began to close. The Kennedy $50 remains as evidence. A portrait of leadership. An eagle of resolve. And within its layers, the fading echo of silver's long reign in everyday life. Sometimes history is not written in ink. Sometimes it is struck, once, and carried forward in the palm of a hand.